Hey there, movie maniacs. Do the names Rainbow, Uriah Heep, Ozzy Osbourne ring any bells? You'll find them all in here, running around in tight trousers as we do something a little different. A book review, the 2013 autobiography of one of the premier bassists in rock and roll, Bob Daisley. Welcome to Dunmore's Literature Mania. Oh, hi, literature maniacs. You know, as a teen, my rowdy musical clique used to think of rock bassist Bob Daisley as a god. Yet, even if you are into hard rock or metal, you might not know the name Bob Daisley. Why? Because he's a bass player. And bass players, unless they're Jaco Pastorius or Gene Simmons, don't really get the credit or recognition they deserve. But for those of us who devoured every obscure liner note in album sleeves and followed the music scene like rock and roll stalkers, this guy Daisley seemed to be everywhere. 1 degree from all the big names: Rainbow, Uriah Heep, Ozzy Osbourne, Gary Moore. And we music aficionados, at least that's what our girlfriends thought we were, pondered on why this quiet, unassuming guy was being hired by everyone under the rock and roll sun. He was never the specialist soloist like John Entwistle, never the limelight grabber like Billy Sheehan, and for sheer bassist name recognition, even hard rock fans would more likely cite the galloping hooves of Steve Harris or the pounding doom of Geezer Butler over the studied sturdiness of Bob who? Funny thing is, Harris and Butler are both admittedly fans of Bob who. So what made this guy so much in demand? How did he share albums and arenas with the Olympian gods of rock? We figured he was just one of the hardest working bastards in rock and roll. Staunch, dependable, reliable, who didn't stir any egomania waves with all the super guitarists he worked with. And we were right. I came from a working class family in the western suburbs of Sydney, Australia, and ended up in London working with the biggest names in rock. For fact's sake, first published by Thompson Music in 2013, is the definitive Bob Daisley Autobiography. It's available through Amazon in the UK, USA, Canada, and Australia, and it's on its 4th print run, with Bob adding to the epilogue with every new edition. Hey, musicians, read it. It's a rock and roller coaster ride, meticulously crafted from Bob's own madman's diary, detailing each remarkable step he took to share whiskeys with Bon Scott, stages with ELO, and studios with Yngwie J. Malmsteen. And for any musician wondering about the seams missing in the steps from bedroom guitar wannabe wanker to world-class rock star wanker, it's all here without missing a wank. From his hooligan band Widowmaker getting banned from the Rainbow in the shortest time on record, to accepting the job in Rainbow at the Rainbow. Fate. A down-to-earth insider recounting, full-color rare photos on almost every glossy page, which makes the book weigh in at a respectable Randy Rhoads polka dot flying V, liberally sprinkled with swear words and stardust and Python references, of a life spent, if not in the spotlight, then surely on its blazing periphery. Never the hounded subject of paparazzi, never the victim of salacious scandal, Bob has yet seen it all and done it all at the topmost echelons of his industry. The names slide by surreally. Bob's friendships, drunken nights, and musical acquaintanceships with Vanda and Young, Plant and Page, AC/DC, Eric Singer, Alice Cooper, Phil Lynott, The mighty John Lord, Carmine Appice, Paul Rodgers, Jeff Watson, Ronnie James Dio, Steve Morse, Steve Vai, even Australian superstar Jimmy Barnes. Hell, Bob's even jammed with Ricky Gervais, long before Gervais became David Brent. There are stories of Bob's formative early bands, Widowmaker, Carvis Jute, Chicken Shack, and later bands that can be labeled with the idiotic moniker Supergroup. Mother's Army, featuring Joe Lynn Turner, Hoochie Coochie Men, featuring the mighty John Lord, Living Loud, featuring Barnsey, world-girdling tour schedules, family life and loves, equipment and recording, spiritual philosophies and conspiracy theories, writing and rehearsing, drinking and drugging. It's all here. And look at that magnificent hair. Bob's even directly connected to Spinal Tap. Remember that bit in the movie with Tap playing an Air Force base, with the service guys treating it like a ballroom dance? And in the middle of the show, Nigel's wireless picking up aircraft chatter? That whole bit was a road story from one of Bob's Uriah Heep shows, told to Christopher Guest by Heep's keyboardist John Sinclair. See, it's such a fine line between stupid
and clever.
Through it all, Bob's tongue-in-ass-cheek personality shines bright, never losing sight of the fact that even in the direst of times, court proceedings, cancelled tours, deaths in the musical family, he was one fortunate cookie to be doing what he loved and getting paid for it. Well, mostly getting paid. Now, the last thing I want is to devote lungfuls of air to the untalented git Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, I said it. But Ozzy played a large part in Bob's Rollercoaster, and Ozzy's manager wife, Sharon, is a major reason for the book's title, For Fact's Sake. Sharon Osbourne is why Bob wants to clear the air of rumor and misinformation that she has been feeding fans and the media for decades under the banner of Ozzy management, intent on denying Bob royalties, credits, and legacy. Now, early in 2020, Ozzy, at age 71, revealed he has suffered a mild form of Parkinson's for years, appearing haggard and wizened in recent photos and interviews. So my heart goes out to this icon at this delicate point in his life, with age and injuries and infirmities forcing him to cancel tours. Bob has always retained a soft spot for the Ozymataz, in the same way one would love a slow child, understanding that his bad experiences stem from Sharon's avarice. And Sharon, oh, cynical C-word Sharon, has reassured us about husband Ozzy. Let's make nothing different. No pity. He doesn't need pity. Okay. Because I've never had much respect or love for Ozzy Osbourne, the artist. Black Sabbath was a unique powerhouse entity, and Ozzy's banshee ululation suited them perfectly. But as a solo act, the monotonal Ozzy was only as good as the hotshots he surrounded himself with. I'm not saying anything Ozzy doesn't already know about himself. Bob was drawn back time and again to the Ozzy camp, creating his largest body of lyrical and songwriting work with Osbourne's albums, even through ongoing royalty disputes, contractual breaches, payments withheld, outright stealing of his songs, not being credited, others being credited for his work. The diss list goes on and on, over the mountain. Widowmaker was signed to Jet Records, owned by the Al Capone of pop, Don Arden. Bob would run into Don Arden again when Ozzy was signed to Jet. And Bob's troubles would start when Sharon Arden, Don's daughter, meets the drunk gold mine shaped like Ozzy, instigates herself as his manager and then wife, and starts taking Bob roughly from behind. Bob's journey is far from over, literature maniacs. Hit subscribe so you don't miss For Fact's Sake Part 2 as soon as it's released. And if you would, consider supporting Dunmore's Movie Mania. There are PayPal and Venmo links below. You can also become a Patreon member and let me know what movies, music, and rants you'd like me to ruin for you. Coming up in Part 2, For Fact's Sake, we're going to meet Randy. We're going to say goodbye to Lee. And we're going deep into Bob's biggest band and biggest bane. In one word, Ozzy.